Wow. Brotherhood. Allahu Akbar.
And what I have gathered is that in America, gang operation in prisons is very avid. Like, you are better to join a gang, and a lot of people are too scared to join.
Druski has stepped into another internet firestorm, and this time the conversation is way bigger than just a comedy skit. What started as another viral character performance quickly turned into a debate about religion, street culture, public image, and where comedy should draw the line. Druski has built his whole brand around exaggerating people. We all recognize the old heads, the fake tough guys, the podcast personalities, the church characters, the street legends who never moved on. But when his latest sketch touched on men using a religious image while still appearing tied to street behavior, some viewers felt he crossed into disrespect. Others said the joke was not aimed at Islam itself, but at people who use any faith as a costume while living the complete opposite way. And that is where this whole debate gets messy. Because once religion enters the conversation, the internet does not react calmly. Before we break down why people are upset, what Druski was actually trying to parody, and why this clip has so many people split, let's get into the video.
Hilarious video, bro. I want you to know that you have to be more responsible and be more respectful towards them. You understand what I'm saying? Give us the same respect that you give to other people. Give us the same respect you give to other communities.
A few days before the backlash really took over TikTok and Instagram, Druski posted a sketch built around the type of older street figure people see all the time online. The character is not exactly young anymore, but he is still trying to move like he is part of the new generation. He is around younger guys, chasing relevance, telling stories, and presenting himself like he is still active in a world he should have outgrown a long time ago. The whole setup was about image versus reality, a man trying to look respected, experienced, and changed, while the surroundings tell a very different story.
Rafts are on the loose in Atlanta for attempted robbery. They are considered armed and dangerous, one of which has a history of murder.
Then the sketch takes its sharp turn. Instead of ending with the character simply being another washed-up street figure, the group suddenly presents itself as peaceful, reformed, and spiritually changed. That switch is where the joke starts becoming more specific, because Druski is now playing with the contrast between a public transformation and the behavior people still associate with the character.
Responsible and be more respectful towards us. You understand what I'm saying?
Brother.
Give us the same respect that you give to other people. Give us the same respect you give to other communities.
A peaceful image does not last long inside the sketch. Right after the group starts speaking in a more spiritual and brotherly way, the clip flips into a fake news style moment that suggests their path while the outside world is still connecting them to chaos.
Expected that Druski came after him. For example, the one brother with the beard, he was saying that Muslims are already disrespected, already miscategorized, already.
And this is why the reaction got so intense. A lot of people understood exactly what Druski was trying to joke about because the idea is not new. In hip-hop culture, street politics, prison culture, and even neighborhood stories, there have always been people who publicly claim discipline, peace, and spiritual growth while privately still moving in ways that do not match that image. That does not mean every religious person is fake. It does not mean every Muslim is being targeted. The point people are arguing over is whether Druski was mocking the faith itself or mocking people who borrow the appearance of faith to look changed. That difference matters, because one version is disrespect toward a religion, and the other version is satire about hypocrisy. And depending on who you ask, people saw two completely different videos.
You do that. Why would you foster more hate? And the other guy said, listen, for us, Islam is the only way. It's the only truth. So we can't let you disrespect our group. And I thought that was interesting because Druski interpreted the Hebrew Israelites. I'm pretty sure the Muslims thought that was funny.
The deeper idea behind the sketch appears to be about transformation that only exists on camera. The characters look like they have found peace. They speak like they have left the streets alone. They present themselves like new men. But the joke is that the same reputation, the same habits, and the same danger may still be attached to them. That is why the sketch hit a nerve. It was not only about clothing or words. It was about whether a person can use a spiritual image to hide a lifestyle they have not really walked away from.
I'm pretty sure he thought that was funny. He's also done whiteface. I mean, there's so many different things that Druski did that was funny. But again, these people only focused on the Islamic representation in
And once the debate moved beyond comedy, people started bringing up much heavier history. Some online commentators began connecting the conversation to older tensions involving black religious movements, street organizations, and public respectability. That is a sensitive lane, so it has to be handled carefully. History has examples where religion, politics, and street power overlapped in complicated and sometimes tragic ways. But that history cannot be used to smear an entire faith or community. The real question is narrower. When people use respected institutions as cover, should comedy be allowed? So, while the sketch seemed to be aiming at hypocrisy, a lot of viewers did not receive it that way.
On you. You know, you got to think about this, and you got to take yourself and put yourself over here on that.
The emotional side of the backlash makes sense when you understand how protective people are over faith. For many Muslims, Islam is not just a cultural label or an outfit. It is a complete way of life, tied to prayer, discipline, family, identity, and personal reform. So when a joke uses Islamic imagery next to criminal stereotypes, some people are going to feel like the whole community is being dragged into the punchline. At the same time, comedy fans are saying the sketch was not about sincere believers. It was about the people pretending to be sincere. One of the main criticisms was that Muslims already deal with misunderstanding in American media. So, from that perspective, even if the joke had a point, the imagery felt careless. Critics were basically asking, if a group already gets misrepresented, why add another viral clip that connects them with danger? But the other side of the argument is that Druski has not built his comedy career by protecting anyone from jokes. His sketches have gone after church culture, internet gangsters, fake industry people, older men chasing youth culture, and different racial or social stereotypes. That is why his supporters say it is inconsistent to laugh when he jokes about everybody else, then demands special rules when the joke lands closer to home. That is also why people started bringing up his other religious and cultural sketches. If viewers laughed when he exaggerated another group, then the debate becomes uncomfortable when the same comedy style turns toward a group they personally care about. The bigger issue is selective outrage. Druski's whole formula is to take a recognizable type of person and push that character to the extreme. He has done it with different communities, different accents, different social circles, and different versions of online culture. So some fans are asking, is the problem that the joke was inaccurate? Or was the problem that this time the joke touched a topic people consider off limits? And that is where the conversation becomes bigger than one sketch. Druski has made people laugh by exaggerating pastors, fake motivational speakers, white characters, hood characters, industry characters, and people trying too hard to look important. But with this one, the religious symbols became the center of the backlash. The comedy was no longer just about a character. It became a debate about representation. The young woman's point adds another layer to the whole discussion, because prison culture has long been connected to religious conversion in America. For many people, faith behind the wall is real. It gives structure, identity, discipline, and a path away from the life that got them locked up. But there are also conversations, especially in urban communities, about people joining religious groups in prison, partly for protection, community, and survival. That does not make the faith fake. It means the environment is complicated. Some people come home truly changed. Others come home with a language of change, but not the lifestyle to match it. And that is the exact gray area Druski's sketch was playing with. This is why so many famous names get pulled into this conversation. Malcolm X famously experienced a major spiritual transformation connected to incarceration and later became one of the most influential black public figures in American history. Mike Tyson has also spoken publicly about Islam in his life. Other athletes, entertainers, and rappers have been connected to Muslim identity in different ways, whether through prison, personal growth, family influence, or spiritual searching. But every story is different. Some people find faith and rebuild themselves. Some people claim faith while still being surrounded by the same energy as before. That distinction is important because no serious conversation should treat conversion like a joke. The issue is not conversion. The issue is performance. That is why names like Lil Durk get mentioned in online debates, but this has to be said carefully. Durk has publicly used the name Mustafa Abdul Malik, and he has been seen in Muslim-style clothing. At the same time, he is currently fighting serious federal allegations, which he has denied by pleading not guilty. So, the public conversation becomes about contrast the image of spiritual discipline on one side and unresolved legal accusations on the other. Nothing should be treated as proven unless a court proves it. And that brings us to the real issue sitting under the entire backlash. Every community has sincere people, and every community also has people who use the community's image for cover. That can happen in churches, street organizations, activist circles, religious groups, and entertainment spaces. So if the conversation is honest, it cannot be about attacking one religion. It has to be about calling out people who wear righteousness on the outside while refusing to live it on the inside. A real believer should not feel represented by a fake one. That is the part many people online are trying to separate. If someone is truly committed to faith, discipline, prayer, family, and community, then a sketch about hypocrisy is not really about them. It is about the person using holy language for street credibility, courtroom sympathy, public respect, or social media branding. Religion is supposed to guide behavior, not decorate it. Whether someone is Christian, Muslim, Hebrew, Israelite, or anything else, the public image means nothing if the conduct behind it is empty. And that is why this topic hits so hard. People know the character exists. A lot of the backlash focused on the religious phrase, the clothing, and the way the fake news segment looked. But supporters of the sketch kept asking a different question. Was the character based on something people have actually seen before? Because if the answer is yes, then the debate becomes more complicated. It is possible for a joke to be offensive to some people and still be pointing at a real social contradiction. Then New Possibilities blog entered the conversation and pushed the debate even further. Instead of keeping it only about hurt feelings, he talked directly about fake religious presentation and street reputation. His point was not that every Muslim in any city is involved in wrongdoing. That would be unfair and dangerous to say. His point was about a specific street reputation that has been discussed for years in parts of the East Coast, especially around people who claim religious identity while still being tied to street activity. Again, that is not an indictment of Islam. It is a criticism of hypocrisy. The uncomfortable truth is that respected symbols can be used by people who want respect without accountability. That is what makes this whole topic so sensitive. For some people, the beard, the greeting, the clothing, and the language are real signs of commitment. For others, those same signs can become part of a public mask. That is what the internet is arguing about. Is Druski mocking sincere faith, or is he mocking the mask? His defenders say the whole sketch is about the mask, the person who wants the world to see peace while the streets still know another version of him. To understand why people connect this conversation to older history, you have to go back decades. In the 1970s, there were serious conflicts involving different black Muslim movements, street organizations, and community leaders. One major figure was Hamas Abdul Haas, a former Nation of Islam figure who later became critical of the organization and led his own Hanafi Muslim community. He was also connected to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's spiritual journey, back when Kareem was still widely known by his birth name, Lou Alcindor. That history matters because it shows how faith, identity, leadership, and street power have sometimes collided in very real ways. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar reportedly helped provide a Washington, D.C. home connected to Collis and his community. But in 1973, that home became the site of a horrific tragedy when members of Collis's family were killed. The details are too disturbing to dwell on for entertainment, but the case became part of a much larger story involving religious conflict, retaliation, and the overlap between organized street power and public religious identity. This is not being brought up to blame a religion. It is being brought up to show that the tension between spiritual image and street influence has a long history in American life. Some of the men connected to that era were also linked in reporting and research to organized street groups in Philadelphia. That is why historians and commentators sometimes talk about the respectability shield that religion can provide. A person can stand near respected institutions, use respected language, and appear disciplined in public, while still being connected to something completely different behind the scenes. Again, this is not unique to one faith. It is a pattern that can happen anywhere. People learn how to use respected symbols for personal protection. And this is where the conversation loops back to hip-hop. In rap culture, image is everything. A person can present themselves as a family man, a community leader, a spiritual man, a businessman, and a street figure all at the same time. Sometimes those identities are genuine. Sometimes they are part of branding. When artists appear in religious clothing or speak the language of peace while their music, legal situation, or public circle tells a more complicated story, people notice the contradiction. But it is important not to turn allegations into facts. The fair way to frame it is this: when public image and public accusations move in opposite directions, the internet is going to question what is real. To understand Druski's target more clearly, you have to look at the interview style he appears to be parodying. In this part, the joke is not only about religion, It is also about a very specific type of street interview, the kind where serious allegations are discussed almost casually, while the person being interviewed tries to sound calm, respected, and untouchable. The reference point appears to connect with the kind of interviews involving older street figures and family members around high-profile rap cases, including Abdul Robinson Sr., the father of Jacksonville rapper Kasu. Those interviews became controversial because they mixed family drama, street history, legal pressure, and public storytelling all in one place. Druski's comedy often works like that. He takes pieces of several real internet personalities and blends them into one exaggerated character. That is why the sketch can feel familiar even when it is not copying only one person. So the cleanest way to read the sketch is this. Druski was not simply taking a shot at Muslims as a whole. He was satirizing a type of person who wants the benefits of a changed image without fully leaving behind the behavior that made people question him in the first place. Still, the criticism is understandable, because religious imagery carries weight. When comedy uses that imagery next to crime-related jokes, some viewers will feel like the joke paints too wide a picture. That is why the responsible conversation has to separate sincere believers from people using belief as a costume. No religion should be blamed for the actions of individuals. But individuals should not be protected from criticism just because they borrow religious language. At the end of the day, this is why the clip went viral. It touched something people already argue about quietly: the difference between real transformation and public performance. There are countless Muslims who are serious about prayer, fasting, discipline, family, and peace. There are also people in every community who know how to look reformed without actually changing. Druski's sketch put that contradiction on camera. And once the internet saw it, everybody brought their own feelings into the debate. Some saw disrespect. Some saw truth. Some saw both. But one thing is clear: this was never just another comedy clip. It became a conversation about faith, image, accountability,